Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Nedarim Daf Ayin Zayin. We are holding right on top with the words Tanan Hasam. We're going to focus on a Mishnah in Maseches Shabbos, actually towards the end of the Masechta, which tells us that although when it comes to typical court cases, dinim, we don't do those on Shabbos, the reason being that it might lead to kesiva, to the recording of the proceedings, as discussed in Maseches Beitza. But when it comes to hatoras nedarim or haforas nedarim, we have exceptions to the rule. You see, these aren't really bona fide court cases. Although we need a chacham or perhaps three individuals to disrupt a neder, an ordinary person's neder. And when it comes to husband and wife, father, daughter, we need that other party, the father or the husband, to actually get involved. But it doesn't really conform to standard, din procedure, and therefore we don't really treat it as such. It perhaps resembles somewhat the concept of din, but not entirely, and therefore we make exception in terms of Shabbos. You see, there's also svara involved, in contrast to a litigation where, you want to record the minutes of the proceedings, you want to, confirm things in document form, but when it comes to hafaras nedarim or hataras nedarim, that's not really relevant. So perhaps that as well contributes to the fact, to this leniency factor, which allows them to be done on Shabbos under certain circumstances. Tanan Hasan, we have a Mishnah Maseches Shabbos. Mefirin nedarim b'Shabbos. A husband can nullify his wife's neder even on Shabbos. V'nish olin l'nedarim, an ordinary person who goes to the chacham to undo a neder, we allow him to do that, provided those nedarim are Shabbos oriented. Shehin l'tzarech Shabbos. You made a neder against, eating, no meat and wine. It affects Shabbos, and therefore we can attend to it even on Shabbos. Iboilu, here comes a question. So when it comes to ordinary hatoras nedarim, it needs to be l'tzarech Shabbos, right? It says so clearly. What about the first part of the Mishnah? Mefirin nedarim b'Shabbos. A husband can be made for his wife's neder. A father, his daughter's neder. We could do so on Shabbos. Under what circumstances? What was the subject of the neder? What was she abstaining from? L'tzarech Shabbos, was it a Shabbos-related issue? In which case, that is a mitigating factor that allows us to address it on Shabbos, to benefit Shabbos, to protect Shabbos, to enhance Shabbos, or perhaps even if it's not Shabbos related, haforas nedarim can be done on Shabbos. And you would say, why? We have three pshatim in the Rishonim. Either, as the Ran explains in pshat number 1, because in contrast to hataras nedarim, which requires a formal procedure, a chacham or three ordinary, you need some sort of procedure. Not so by a husband or a father, which is totally, unreminiscent of any din. Lo mechzi kedina, as the Ran says. So perhaps that's different. So when it comes to hataras nedarim, which perhaps is somewhat reminiscent of a din procedure, the heter is limited to a Shabbos-related issue. If it affects Shabbos, okay, we can remove it on Shabbos, but otherwise leave it till tomorrow. But when it comes to hafaras nedarim, which is a less formal procedure, perhaps even sheloi l'tzarech Shabbos would be okay. Another pshat, says the Ran. You see, in contrast to hataras nedarim, where you're limitless in terms of your expiration date, you can just take care of it any time. Hafaras nedarim is a limited time process. It's just till the end of the day, and then it's over. So that would be perhaps a reason to be matir even on Shabbos. There's another pshat here that the Tosfos says. The Rosh explains as well. He says, you see, the Baal doesn't need to do a real, charata or Pesach. He just walks in there, shows over. B'dibur ba'alma, says the Rosh. So perhaps that doesn't really resemble a din, and therefore you can allow it even if it's shaloi l'tzarech Shabbos. So whatever the reason is, that's the question. Do we compare hafara to hatara? Or do we say, well, by hatara, it's only mutar l'tzarech Shabbos, but hafara works regardless. Tashmai comes at Raya, the Tani Rav Zuti, the Rav Papi. Rav Zuti brought us a brisa from the Beis Medrash of Rav Papi, which says, Ein mefir nedarim el l'tzarech Shabbos. No. Hafara is bound to the same laws as hatara. It's only allowed when there's a Shabbos concern. Amar Rav Ashi, what do you mean? Halaitnan hachi. Our Mishnah indicates otherwise. Mishnah clearly says, Nadrim chashecha mefer la'ashlei tershech. If an Isha makes a neder on Shabbos afternoon, right before sundown, the husband could do hafara. Now, we're assuming it's no longer Shabbos related. That late in the day is not really going to affect your Shabbos experience. Right? Vi amros l'tzarech HaShabbos in. Sheloi l'tzarech HaShabbos loy. And if you suggest to me that hafaras and Nedarim is only mutar on Shabbos if it affects the Shabbos, if it's to benefit the Shabbos, protect the Shabbos, my area chashcha. So Mishnah says, quickly, hurry up, do the, hafaras and Nedarim now. Because once it's chashcha, once it's dark, it's over. What do you mean? Even if it's broad daylight, if it's not Shabbos related, you can't do hafara. It's not for the sake of Shabbos. So the kasha is on you. We had Rav Zuti telling us hafaras and Nedarim is only mutar on Shabbos if it's to protect Shabbos, to enhance Shabbos, to allow you access to food on Shabbos, for Einik Shabbos, but otherwise not. But the Mishnah seems to indicate otherwise. Mishnah says if she makes a neder at the end of Shabbos, the tail end of Shabbos, we're assuming it no longer will affect the Shabbos. Waiting another 5 minutes is not really going to make it or break it, right? In terms of the Einik Shabbos. Mishnah says, hurry up, do it, because if you wait too long, after darkness, it's over. What do you mean? If this isn't a Shabbos-related issue, then even if it's broad daylight, we wouldn't be able to do it. Hafara is only mutar l'tzarech Shabbos. Answers the Gemara, you're right, it's a machlekes Tanaim, which really revolves around that question that we learned yesterday. What is your time frame? What is your window of opportunity to do hafara? Is it a 24-hour set system, or is it until the end of that given day? Our question will depend on that discussion. Tanai. It's a machlekes Tanaim. Hafaras and Nedarim kol hayom. Tanakama maintains it's the day of, and that's it. In which case, if the day of the neder happens to be Shabbos, quickly go take care of it. Otherwise, you lose that opportunity. We give you that allowance, lest you lose that opportunity. And that's the Tana of our Mishnah. Whereas the other Tanaim, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, Amru, they maintain me'es leis. Hafaras and Nedarim stretches for 24 hours. And therefore, Laman da Amar Kol Hayom in Tvei Lo, according to the Shitas Tanakama, the hafara ability only extends until the end of the day. Afilu shalei l'tzarech Shabbos mefer. So if the neder was done on Shabbos, even if it's not l'tzarech Shabbos, Chachamim allowed you to disrupt the neder, lest you lose that opportunity. And that opinion is reflected in our Mishnah. L'man da Amar me'es le'es. Whereas according to the other Shitas, we have 24 hours to disrupt a neder. In that case, we say, hold it. Wait till after Shabbos. So if it's l'tzarech Shabbos, if it pertains to this Shabbos, go ahead and do the hafara. But otherwise, sheloi l'tzarech Shabbos, if it doesn't pertain to Shabbos, it's not an emergency. Don't do it now. Wait till after Shabbos. So that's the conclusion. One may do hafaras and Nedarim on Shabbos if it's l'tzarech Shabbos. What if it's not l'tzarech Shabbos? It's only mutar according to that shita, where the deadline is tonight. And therefore we allow it to do it on Shabbos as well. Let's move on to the second part of that Mishnah. the Mishnah which we started with today. Nedarim. An ordinary person who made a neder, not a husband-wife situation, a regular person, can go petition the Chacham to release him of that neder. If this neder is a Shabbos issue, here comes the question. When we say you can do Ataras and Nedarim on Shabbos if it pertains to Shabbos, is that only because he didn't have a chance before Shabbos? He ran straight into Shabbos without a minute to spare. Or there was no Chacham around to take care of the neder. That allows us to do the Hatorah on Shabbos. Or perhaps even if he had an opportunity to do beforehand, doesn't matter. After all, it's Shabbos related. He's not negating the Shabbos, it's to help the Shabbos. Tashmai comes the Raya, and the answer is yes. These Dakikule Rabbanan, the Rabbanan made themselves available for Hataras Nedarim. For whom? Lebrei the Rav Zutra, Brei the Rav Zira, for the son of Rav Zutra, Afilu ben Nedarim Shalem Panai Mibaydain. It was Shabbos, and he had ample time to take care of it before Shabbos, but since it interferes with Shabbos observance, we have mounted the neder even on Shabbos. Sava Rav Yosef Lameimer. Still, Rav Yosef figured, we want to show that it's Shabbos. We want to make a hecker on Shabbos. Do it a bit differently than during the week. Don't make it with such great fanfare and such formality. Sava Rav Yosef Lameimer. Even when we say Nish'ol Nedarim b'Shabbos, that's only b'yochad mumcha. You see, there are two methods of doing Ataras and Nedarim. A Chacham on his own, if he's an expert, yochad mumcha, or you have three ordinary people. The former method, where it's just low key, one person doing it, that's mutter. B'yochad mumcha. But b'shloisha dyotis, having three people congregate together, making a scene on Shabbos, that negates the kavod Shabbos. It looks like they're involved in a dinner. You have three people sitting together. It looks like a bezdin. And we know that an ordinary din is also. So even though they're congregating for the sake of Ataras and Nedarim, which isn't technically a din, don't do it on Shabbos. Abaye responded, no, it makes no difference. There are so many other factors which clearly, indicate, which are clearly reflective of its non-din status. Hataras and Nedarim is not bound by the other, din halachas. Given the sphere and the fact is that we hold, afilu mu'ubad. The chacham could be standing, in contrast to a dayan and a dinter that has to be sitting, which is discussed in Mar Shvois. Here you can do it standing up, which indicates it's not really a formal procedure. It's not your conventional din. Afilu b'kroivim, even relatives can do Hataras and Nedarim. Afilu b'layla, do it even at night, a time which is not suitable for din. That being the case, as Abaye, is a clear message that lo mischazek dina, which would not arouse any confusion, would not even create any impression that we're speaking about a din. And therefore, Abaye says, when it's mutter to do Hataras and Nedarim on Shabbos, if it's l'tzarech Shabbos, you can have even three individuals performing the Hataras and Nedarim. Amar Abba, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav. Halacha. In fact, that's the halacha. Mefirin Nedarim b'layla. Hataras and Nedarim can be done even at night, a time which is not really suitable for ordinary dinei Torah. Asks the Gemara, well, what's the chiddush? We have a Mishnah that Hataras and Nedarim takes place at night. V'amas nisani nadra b'leila Shabbos. The Mishnah says if she made a neder, Friday night, the husband can step in and disrupt the neder, even at night. Ella Ema, rather the chiddush was like this: halacha nish'olin b'layla, not just hafara, even haTorah, which is sort of a higher level. You need to go to a chacham or have three people. You can do it even at night. So Rav Abba was the one who heard this halacha from Rav Huna in the name of Rav. Amalei Rav Abba, the Rav Huna. So Rav Abba turns to Rav Huna, who actually taught him this halacha. I have a question. Amar Rav Hachi. Rav himself, really said this halacha that one may do Hataras and Nedarim b'layla. We don't treat it like din. Amalei, so Rav Huna told him, actually, I didn't hear it directly from Rav. I was the one who presented it to Rav, who seemed to accept it. Amalei ishtik. When I told him the halacha, he was silent. He seemed to approve the halacha. And that's what prompted me to say it in his name. It seemed like he was going along with it. Amalei, so Rav Abba says, one sec. silence can be interpreted as consent, as approval, and as disapproval, as protest. Ishtik commerce, are you saying that he was silent perhaps as a form of protest? He was indicating to you to remain silent, ishtik. I don't agree with what you're saying. So Rav did not agree with the halacha. Or Ishtik commerce, or you tell me that he was so excited that he told you have a drink. Well said. There's no way to know what he really had in mind, and therefore you can't really, conclude in terms of Rav's opinion, one way or the other. Amar Rav Ika bar Abin, but here we have a direct story describing Rav himself and what he did. Amar Rav Ika bar Abin is takikle Rav. So Rav made himself available for Hataras Nedarim, l'Rabba. He accommodated Rabba. Bikituna de Bei Rav. This was a side room at the Beis Medrash of Rav. And Rav was engaged in Hataras Nedarim. In what manner? First of all, Oimid, he was standing up in an informal manner. Yechidi, on his own, without a group of 3 people. Ubalayla. Here we go. It was at night. We have a first-hand story that in fact Rav himself allows Hataras Nedarim at night. Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Nachman, in fact that's the halacha. Halacha nish'ol Nedarim. You can do Hataras Nedarim Oimid, standing, Yechidi, one alone, Ubalayla at night, Ube Shabbos, even on Shabbos, Ube Krevim, even relatives. Va'afilu Hoylan Panayim B'Yom, and one can do Hataras Nedarim on Shabbos, of course, if it affects the Shabbos, if it's to benefit the Shabbos, even in a case where he had the opportunity to do it before and he didn't get around to it for whatever reason, he can do it on Shabbos as well, as we proved earlier in the Gemara. Asks the Gemara Kasha, Oimid, you're telling me you can do Hataras Nedarim standing up? You don't need to formalize the event. Vatani, we have a brayso which indicates otherwise. We have a story where Rabbi Gamliel was on the road, and a fellow approached him for Hataras Nedarim. Vatani, Yorad Rabbi Gamliel Melachamar. What did Rabbi Gamliel do? He disembarked. He got off the donkey. Vinus Atev, he wrapped himself as a dayan would do to get kavana, to generate siyata d'shmaya and yira shemayim. V'yasha v'hiter lo nidrei, and in that sitting position he did Hataras Nedarim. Apparently, you can't do it standing up. The answer is, it depends on what you're trying to do. Rabbi Gamliel Savar, according to the Ran's Gersa, it's ein poischem b'charot. You see, there are 2 possible methods to release one of his neder. One is called charata, regret, simple regret. I didn't think through it, I wasn't mindful, I wasn't focused, I was angry, I was agitated. That requires very little, focus and concentration and investigation. You just do the charata, easy does it. Whereas Rabbi Gamliel holds that ein poischem b'charata, the proper way of Hataras Nedarim is not by way of charata, the more simple method. You need a more advanced method, which is the Pesach To'os concept. Basically, you have to discover some sort of unforeseen circumstance, some sort of fact that he may have overlooked, some sort of detail that was missing at the point of the neder. That's a more serious endeavor. For that, you need real focus and concentration, which typically only happens when you're sitting down. So that's the point of machlekes. When we allow even a standing dayan to do a Torah, it's because charata is enough, and that can be done just, by the way, informally. It doesn't require so much focus and concentration. Whereas Rabbi Gamliel Savar, ain't poisem b'charata. Charata is not enough to be mater neder. You need to find something more than that, something more significant. A missing factor, an overlooked detail. Me'aker nidra be'inan, and you have to uproot the neder, internally uproot it. Uboya yuni, which requires proper focus. Ahacha yasha, that's why he had to sit down. For Rav Nachman Savar, whereas Rav Nachman allows even an oimeid to do it, he holds poischem b'charata. Charata is enough to be mater neder. Afilu mu'uvid, and that can be done even standing up. Amalei Rav Nachman. So Rav tells Rav Nachman, Chazimar, did you see Haim Rabbanan, this Talmud Chacham, the Asim Rav came from Eretz Yisrael? Vaman, he related as follows. He had first-hand experience with Hataras Nedarim, the way they did it in Eretz Yisrael. Is the Kikule Rabbanan, the Rabbanan made themselves available, Lebrei the Rav Huna bar Avin, for the son of Rav Huna bar Avin, V'shor le'nidre, they released him of his neder. But then they told him, listen, we're doing you the service, but you should know you still have to do something to rectify, to be masakin, to do teshuvah. Why do you make a neder? V'amrli, they told him, Zil, go ahead, ubay rachmel nafshach. Go ask Hashem for rachmel. Don't daven. Dechatas, you did a chet by making a neder. So the chiddush is, even though they removed the neder for him, which typically means that, lemafreya, there is no neder, but the fact is he did something wrong and you have to attend to it. Tani Rav Dimi, Achva, the brother, the Rav Safra, Kalanoide, whatever, makes a neder, Afal Bishum Makam, even if he fulfills the neder. So it goes without saying, if a person violates a neder, he sins. But even if he actually carries it out, Nikra Chayte, it's not recommended. And therefore, go ahead and take care of it. Do teshuvah. Amar Rav Zrid Maikra, where do we find this in the pasuk? That a noider is a chayte v'chisechta lindar lo yebchachet. When you refrain from the Nedarim, you'll be absolved of sin. We have a diak haloi chadalta. Apparently, if he does not refrain from Nedarim, he engages in Nedarim, ikachet, we treat it as a chet experience. Tanya, here comes a bryce. Ha'emer li'ishtei. So a fellow turns to his wife, who made a neder, which now presents him with two possible options. Either hafara, disruption of the neder, or hakama, he can confirm the neder. We find a difference in how hafara works from the way hakama works. And the Ran in the second pshat explains, in order to be mefer, you have to be explicit. You have to speak it out. Just notions and sentiments don't work. As opposed to hakama, he brings a gemara that kiyem beliboy kiyem, confirming it in one's heart is enough. So it's already there. You're just confirming it. That's enough, without actually expressing that confirmation. But hafara needs an explicit confirmation, explicit expression of hafara. He turns to his wife and he says, "Kol nedarim shetaduri yefshi shetaduri." All nedarim that you're going to make, in the future, I don't want it. I don't want it. So the Ram brings that perhaps we're going to the shita of Rabbi Lezer, that you can do hafara in advance. But bottom line is, he wasn't expressing his feelings clearly. He was a bit vague. I don't want yefshi. Or he says, ein zen neder. I don't want it to be a neder. Loy amar klum. It doesn't work. Meaning, unless you actually say it should be mufar, or a similar lashon like that, which is an outright negation of the neder, these types of vague lashonis don't work. The efshi, I don't really want it, I don't want it to be, that doesn't work. But when it comes to hakama, even just saying yafasis, wow, well done. Nobody like you, you're amazing. If you wouldn't have made a neder, madirachani, I would have made the same neder. So here he expressed satisfaction, that's enough. Even though he didn't actually say the neder should be mekuyim, he says, wow, you're great, you're amazing. And it works, and the neder is now confirmed. So although we spoke about allowing hafaras and nedarim on Shabbos, still says the Gemara, be careful. Do it a bit differently. Deviate a bit from the way we do it during the week time. We want to be meshana to indicate that it's a kavod Shabbos. Lo yomer adam li'ishtay. A person shouldn't tell his wife b'Shabbos mufar lichi, bata lichi. All these outright expressions of hafara. Kederach she'emel b'chad, the way he does it during the weekdays. Do it a bit differently. Do it Shabbosdik. Elo emela, rather he should tell her in a hinting fashion. Tili yichli, tili yishsi. You made a neder against having this food or against this drink. Go ahead, enjoy it. Take it and eat it, take it and drink it. V'aneder batamelo. And that generates bittul on the neder. The question is, we just said a minute ago that you have to express it clearly. You can't just use vague l'shoinais. Teretz is, Amar B'yechanan. Here it's different than the previous brisa. But sorech sheyivata, believe it, we're speaking that he actually had that in mind. So in his heart he's thinking bittul on neder. That's step one. In conjunction with this sort of semi-expression, so both factors joined together, the strong bittul believe, together with this semi-expression, to be mevatel the neder. As opposed to the previous brisa, explains the Ran. Well, he didn't have a bitul belev, a clear bitul belev. So over there it doesn't work. Tanya b'shami imrim b'Shabbos m'vata b'liboy b'choil moitzi b'sfasav. Although on Shabbos we allow this combined, feeling, words, package to be m'vatal the neder. But b'choil, during the weekdays, don't resort to that. You have to actually express it clearly. You can't utilize devarim shebalev. B'selayim, no. Echad zeh m'vatal b'liboy vein tzarich leisi b'sfasav, whether it's Shabbos or the weekdays. Fact is, you can join together the bitul belev together with this vague lashon to affect haforas nedarim. So bottom line is, what happens on Shabbos in terms of hafara, in terms of hatorah? So in terms of hafara and hatorah, if it's l'tzorech Shabbos, it's mutter. What if it's not l'tzorech Shabbos? So when it comes to hafara, it only works if you hold like the shita that hafara only lasts until the end of the day. So that's it. You got to quickly chaparayin, lest you lose that opportunity. But otherwise, if you have a 24-hour window to do it after Shabbos. The Gemara makes a chiddush for us that even when it comes to a neder that he could have done before Shabbos, but if it's a tzorech Shabbos, we allow it. The Gemara tells us further that a Taras Nedarim is different than a regular din in many ways. Standing, yechidi, balayla, b'Shabbos, b'kroivim. Ram Gamliel held you can't do it unless you're sitting, because he required a more focused approach to a Taras Nedarim. We learned that a person who does a neder, even if he's mated the neder, tshuva is still required, and we learned that on Shabbos, the person should be careful to, minimize his explicitness. He should combine the dvarim shebalev with a sort of a vague expression, which would be lekavod Shabbos. All the best to you, and hatzlacha Rabbah.